Hello and welcome everyone. I hope you're all having a great day today. In today's video, we're going over the Recluse, a class where it feels like after you cast one spell, everything within a 4,000 meter radius drops what it's doing to come teach you a lesson. And let me say, this class packs an absolute punch, and I've got one build for you guys here today, basically focusing on maximizing her damage to absolutely delete your opponent's health bars. Also, if you guys want to see a more in-depth breakdown on this build or any other builds that I make sure to check out mobalytics.gg for not only my builds, but for a ton of other builds and guides on the website that can turn this game into an absolute breeze. And without further ado, let's do this. For our first relic, we're going to be using the Vestige of the Night, which you can get from progressing far enough into the Recluse's questline, which is then going to give us the ability to spawn a Terra Magica under us whenever we're collecting magic affinity from our enemies. And what Terra Magica is going to do is give us a 15% damage bonus to every single sorcery that we cast, which is absolutely massive. And then the next slot under it is going to give us magic attack power +2, giving us another pretty hefty damage bonus. And that means this relic serves one purpose and one purpose only, and that's just to increase our damage overall pretty substantially. And it's pretty easy to get. You get it early on into the game, which is fantastic. For our second relic, we're going to be using the Bone-like Stone, which kind of rhymes. But what this thing is going to do for us is make us suffer blood loss whenever we use our ultimate art. But at the cost of some HP, we get another attack power bonus, which means even more damage on top of the first relic. Our second passive is going to make sure that whenever we activate our ultimate art, we get more max HP, which is something this class definitely needs because she is pretty squishy. And then finally, it's going to give us intelligence +3, which means even more damage. Which is just great. 2 relics that pump you with this much damage is absolutely insane. For our final relic, this is going to be more of a compromise pick, since there aren't too many yellow slot relics that actually apply to this class. And if you don't have the Spirit Shelter Grail, your best option is either going to be the Knight of the Wise or the Knight of the Miasma. The Knight of the Wise is going to give us more FP, which I think is more important for general purposes. But the Knight of the Miasma, if your teammates or you happen to have a source of Frostbite, is going to let you go invisible, which is really nice for a class that's squishy and a glass cannon like yourself. And it's going to give you an attack power up whenever facing frostbitten enemies. Of course, for the Knight of the Wise, it can also give you an attack power bonus if an enemy nearby is poisoned or rotted, which I think is a bit more common overall of a status effect to come across than Frostbite, especially since it's 2 separate status effects, giving you a higher chance of running into that status effect on your team, or you yourself running into that status effect to be able to apply it. But ultimately, it's up to you which one you want to choose. Both of them have their own use cases and their own benefits, so it's whichever one you feel the most comfortable putting in your kit. Of course, if you want to stick to the path of still using 0 RNG in the later game, you can equip this Grand Tranquil Scene. This is going to allow you to have a Mind +2 and an Intelligence +2. The top passive won't stack with the one you already have, but you can just get those 2 stats below for free, which is always nice. Of course, if you want a bit more survivability, you can buy the Spirit Shelter Grail after beating 4 Night Lords, and put in a Blessed Iron Coin, which is going to give you Vigor +3 and continuous HP recovery, which could potentially be the difference between you getting 1-shot and 2-shot, or it could regenerate your health just enough for your Ritual Shield Talisman to reactivate if you happen to get one, which means you can survive even more hits, which is always good for a class that's this squishy. And that is going to do it for the build here, guys, and if that helped out, make sure to hook me up with a like and subscribe, as it helps out the channel a ton. And also, for sticking around, I do have a few tips for you guys if you'd like to hear. If you can save up 2 holy affinities and 1 fire affinity with your character skill, or 2 fire affinities and 1 holy affinity, you get a really nice skill that applies Destined Death to your enemies and increases your own max HP. But not only that, but the Destined Death that you apply can actually stack with the actual Destined Death sources, such as the Black Blade and Malekith's armament skills, which is a great way to do a ton of damage to a boss with a lot of HP really early into the fight. Tip number 2 is the Obi-Wan special, but just use the high ground. If they can't reach you, they can't beat you. The final tip is that Recluse is basically the magical version of Wilder, where she can basically wield any magical item, including faith seals, and magic doesn't typically have access to holy damage, so if you're going up against a boss who's weak to holy, you could possibly dip into some incantations and just play off the boss's weakness to do some extra damage, which can help make the run go a lot smoother. But that's gonna do it for today's video, guys. As always, I hope the tips and the build helped out, and I'm really excited. We only got one character left. You know, usually I would ask you guys who do you want to see next, but I mean, there's only the Executor left, so I mean, it's go time. So I'm excited. Let's get this one out the way. The big cheese himself. But as always, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to drop a huge like and subscribe, as it helps out the channel and the algorithm a ton. And peace. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.